Good afternoon, everybody. I know it's been a while, but I am back. It is the Working Wednesdays broadcast. I'm excited about getting back on live today. So let's go ahead and share the video to a couple groups here so we can get started. So I am excited to get us rolling today. So thank you for those that are joining me today this afternoon. We're just jumping on for a brief lunchtime chat. So I'm excited. I see my author is on with me. Give me a moment. I'll get you right on. But for those who have been following me on the Working Wednesdays broadcast, I kind of had to shift gears a little bit. Yes, ma'am. I do see you. I see you. I had to shift gears a little bit, had a schedule conflict, so I couldn't do the Working Wednesdays broadcast in the evening time. That's why I switched it to noon. So for as many authors as I can get on at noontime, I'd love to get you on for a lunchtime chat just to kind of talk about your book, get you some exposure, and get some people buying your books and purchasing, reading. We promote reading. I am the author. I'm an author, CEO of IBG Publications, and also the moderator for the IBG Writers Group. So I'm so excited about getting back on for the Working Wednesdays. I am actually in the process of working on doing a podcast. So I am actually working on changing up the platform, getting it out to a broader audience. I appreciate my Facebook family and friends who have been supporting the broadcast for the last few months, but it's just time to shift gears and it's time to expand and to kind of go to a different and a whole vaster audience. So thank you for those that are joining on with me. I appreciate you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and bring my author on, but that's what we do here on the Working Wednesdays broadcast. We just bring authors on, talk about our books, talk about the message of the book and what inspired us to write, because that's what IBG stands for. It stands for Inspired by God. So I'm excited to get my author on. We did a little test run a few minutes ago. She's excited. I'm excited. I know it's going to be a great conversation. So let's go ahead and get Janine on this afternoon. Let's not waste any more time. So let's go ahead and get her on. Sister Connie, good afternoon. There we are.
Hey, praise the Lord, we made it, Audra. I wasn't sure I could do it twice.
That is absolutely okay. We got you on this afternoon.
Great.
Welcome to the Working Wednesdays broadcast.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to have you on. I was loving, even though we did a test run, I was loving your energy, loving just the vibe that was going on. So I'm excited for getting you on. So go ahead and greet the viewers this afternoon. And just say whatever's on your heart to say. Go ahead and greet the viewers.
All right. Well, hello, folks. If you're like me, you're a writer, a reader, or an author, or you could be all three or one. And if you love the written word and you love God, you come to the right place. And hopefully Audrey and I will inspire you. And you can find out from my mistakes, maybe the things that went right, how you could be helped. I'm a first-time author. So if you're in that position, I definitely can empathize with you. I know what the whole process is like, and maybe we can grow together.
Yes, it is a process.
Especially marketing. We won't even, I don't know if we'll get there or not. We only have 15 minutes, but wow, that's a tough one. But we can go on to that in a few minutes if you have time.
Yes. Well, we have time. As long as you have time, I've got time. We usually go about an hour. That's what we usually do.
Okay.
I don't know if you have a whole hour. So
well, I already ate lunch, so we're good.
Okay.
I won't get hungry and make you run to the kitchen.
Good. So go ahead, Janine, and talk about what inspired you to write. Talk about your book, what inspired you, and your process and your journey to getting your first book done. Let's talk about that.
All right. Well, the interesting part is this book, Cassandra and the Cowboy, started 20 years ago. So wow. I am the poster child for never giving up on your dreams. Never give up on your dreams.
Okay.
It started, I think about in the mid-90s. And I do not know why, but I bought a set of Tony Robbins Personal Power cassettes. Now, they were on cassettes at that time, so you know how long ago that was. I don't necessarily recommend Mr. Robbins now. That's a personal opinion. But at the time, I enjoyed his process of encouraging you to reach for your dreams, to find out what you enjoy doing, to stop the negative voices that get in your head to keep you from doing what you're doing. And I decided that I wanted to write. I've always loved the written word. I had a great English teacher back in high school who encouraged creativity and love of the written word. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go back to college and I'm going to take what first course was on computers because I knew nothing about them. Still don't know a whole lot, but at least I could write and get on Facebook. So that's always good. And then I also took a creative writing course. And through that, the process of the first book came. And you know, usually that first book, if you came into my house now and walked right across the way, it's in the very back of the closet in a tote, hidden. The first book is usually just a example of trying to learn the craft and to figure out what you're doing. But I still actually like the story. Maybe one day I'll go back and work on it. It's a contemporary one. But my real love is historical, inspirational historical books. I've had several people mention to me going to contemporary, but I love that era. I like horses and cattle and the long skirts and men are men and women are, you know, what, the whole 9 yards. But at any rate, that's what at this point in time, that's what I write. So I started writing the second book, and like the first book, it was better, but I had to learn a lot. But I had an online friend named Sandy Pickett, and the name of my heroine in this book is Cassandra Pickett. So there is a little bit of a nudge towards life. She was an online writing friend, and she encouraged me to write. She was with me, held my hand, listened to me whine, listened to me be excited. She was a good buddy, and we worked on that together, I guess, her listening to me and me working on it. I don't know, 6 months, a year, I'm really not sure. But in the course of raising children, my husband went to Bible college, was a minister, and also we were in the Air Force. Life gets in the way. I'd write some, finish a little bit, send it out to somebody to look at, stop, come back to it. And I actually had an agent, oh, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago. She was new, I was new. I don't think either one of us knew what we were doing, but she went ahead and represented me. It didn't get far, but when I look back at that book, I can understand it. But it's okay, it was a good experience. So I put the book away, kept coming in and out, and last fall, I brought it out again, and I kept thinking, this is a great story. I think it has possibilities. And I love the second and the third story also when they were in a series. And my husband and I prayed, and it was a situation where, Lord, if we're not going to get this done traditionally being published, because since I'm new, I didn't want that fear and uncertainty of self-publishing. So obviously I don't even know how to connect to you. How am I going to self-publish? But at any rate, we're going to go one more time with a traditional publisher. And then if that doesn't work, come January this year, maybe we'll think about self-publishing. Think about it. And I sent the book out again, and then Jennifer Ferry of Journey Fiction, she contacted me and not only wanted the first book, but she publishes series. And so she asked for the next 3. The second one was already written. The third one was just in this little old mind up here. So I've actually written that since I signed a contract with her. And that's where we are at this point in time.
Okay. Wow. That's amazing. You said something that was key, and that it's 20 years in the making. And so just to encourage somebody out there, you know, no matter how long it takes, don't give up on your dream, your idea, your thought that maybe something can come from this. That is a great example of that. It took me 10 years to get my first one out. So, you know, let's see. Yeah, about 10 years. It took about 10 years for me to get my first one done. So just keep pressing, keep, you know, moving forward, keep believing in yourself.
Exactly.
You know, like you said, the first one just was in a tote in the back of your closet. Yet you didn't, you know, you didn't drop the pen. You know, you picked it back up and you kept pressing and going on. So tell us, what is Cassandra the Cowboy about? Tell us what it's about.
Well, may I read the back of the book, and then I could tell you, because I thought about that in the process of looking over your interview questions, and I thought, don't want to give anything away. So can I just read you the blurb on the back of the book?
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, I could actually hold it up and y'all could see. Jennifer, who's my publisher and my editor, she designed that cover.
That's a fabulous cover. I love
And
it.
wait till you see the second one. It's called, my second book's Juanita and the Outlaw. And the young lady on there is a Hispanic young woman from church that I'm discipling, and she's absolutely gorgeous. And if you go to my,
so you had a real live model.
exactly. And if you go to Janine Mick Wills, we'll maybe give that a little bit also later on. And the next day or so, well, you'll see a picture of her, but I'm also going to start showing the process of the cover being created, and we can now see the Texas background behind it and a little bit of where the title's going to go. It's really going to be beautiful, but they're all going to fall along this line of what we see here on Cassandra. But let me go ahead and read the back of this to you if I could.
Go right ahead.
Cassandra Pickett is one prayer away from giving up on God. The tragic death of her father and the devastating results of the Great Drought of 1886 have left the family ranch in the crosshairs of the Gooseneck Ridge Bank of Texas. Desperate to save the Triple P, Cassandra sees only one option: marry Philip Brigham, the local cattle baron, and beg him to use his influence with the bank. But when enigmatic cowboy Matt Atkins shows up at the Triple P, everyone around her is taken with his charm and big ideas. Could Matt be the answer to her prayer that she's been waiting for? As they work together side by side, Cassandra's feelings for Matt deepen, and she imagines being able to marry for love, not necessity. But when she discovers Matt's deception and hidden agenda, Cassandra's dreams are shattered. Will she have to turn to Philip after all, despite their unsettling past, or can she trust God to take the shards of her broken dreams and create something beyond what she could ever hope for? And the whole process of this book, originally, the title was called Answered Prayer. And at that particular point in time, I was struggling with prayer. I have to admit it. And Cassandra, you can see some of that reflecting in her. Does God answer prayer?
Right.
Did things just happen by chance? Does he answer prayers of his children when they don't believe he answers prayers? What does faith have to do with all of this? And you can see a little bit of her journey in the book we have. In fact, since we do have an hour, I want to mention this, and this is something I'm talking with my editor about. In the front of the books, I guess they call it a broiler plate, I think. I'm not sure the technical term on that. But it says, this book has nothing to do with real people, past or present. It's just coincidence. And I'm thinking, what writer writes and doesn't use people they know or influences or people's names or whatever? And my the third book, Maddie and the Texas Ranger, the little kids in this book who the reader's going to love, they're just fantastic, fun little kids. They're strictly patterned after my grandchildren. So I don't know if we're going to have to change that this actually is off of someone. But again, from your standpoint, what writer writes without their own experiences in a book? And how could you even put that? I think it's maybe there's people won't sue you, but does that mean my grandchildren later on, if I become rich and famous, will come back and say, hey, Grandma, you owe us $1 million for using our characters and our names? I don't know how that works. Maybe you do.
I don't see that happening. They're going to be so proud. They're in their grandma's book. I can't see that.
Well, each book I love just a little bit more. The next book, Juanita and the Outlaw, is a love story of redemption. It deals with prejudices, both for the fact that my character is a Mexican young lady in Boston, and she's looked frowned upon because of her skin color, her nationality. And then the gentleman that she falls in love with has been disfigured in a knife fight that he believed that he deserved. And so his prejudice is against himself. So you're dealing with prejudices from without, from society, and then prejudices from within. But the story is such a beautiful love story of hope and redemption, and I absolutely love that. And then the character in the third book comes from the second book, and her name's Maddie, and she is a hoot. That's all I can say. If you enjoy smiling and laughing out loud, I keep chasing my husband down. Honey, look at this. Look what Maddie did. Look what the kids did. And he's even laughed out loud. And I'm not kidding. He doesn't usually get too excited about things such as that. But each one of them progresses, has the characters are from each book. They continue on. It'll be a different main character. But each story has a different theme about spiritual aspects, people that are dealing with adversity and how they overcome them, and just plain fun. And they all have happy endings, which I love.
Right. Wow. That's amazing. You know, I tell people, once you write the first book, the rest just flow like water.
Exactly.
people don't understand that concept because they get so fearful of doing the first book. But once you get that first one done and it's out there and you kind of start hearing from, your readers, they love it, they're enjoying it. It's like, it inspires you, to continue writing and to get the next series. Cause I was on your launch team. I don't know if you remember.
Yes.
Yes, I was on your
I
launch
do.
team, so I got the chance to read the book. So I absolutely love the descriptives. I love how you painted pictures, and it was
Thank
like,
you.
you're welcome. It was like when you were reading. I like when you read a novel, and this is for those out there who might be writing. But when you read a novel, description is everything, and painting a narrative is everything. So it helps to carry the reader into the story and actually almost like see it in your mind. So when I was reading the book, I was able to see Cassandra. I was able to see the blue dress. I was able to see, everything she
Wonderful.
was wearing, So I think the descriptive was great. It was an awesome read. And so for those that are listening and you're looking for something great to read, Cassandra the Cowboy is an excellent read. So I'm recommending
Thank
it, me
you. Thank
personally
you.
myself.
And
You're
also, my
welcome.
dear, my launch team, my editor now finally has the manuscript for Juanita. She's a one-woman show,
Okay.
and she has other authors she's dealing with. So it took us a few more months than we originally intended, but she's got the manuscript. So hopefully in the next month or two, I'll be starting a launch team for Juanita. It's going to be a Facebook launch team again. And I'd like to encourage
Okay.
your viewers, if they're like me and they're new into this, or they're not quite sure how to start a launch team, please, if not just the fact of course, it helps me out. I won't deny that. But also, too, I would like to help them out because the first one I did, I had no idea what I was doing. I know a
Okay.
lot more than I did before. And I would love for folks to join me just so they could see how the process goes. I almost hate to admit this. I probably shouldn't because I see that some of my people that I know are actually on here and they may report me. But I'm one of those people that works ahead, and I've already started scheduling and getting my memes. I love memes. I create memes on Canva. There's a shout out for Canva. I have over 100 memes already set up for
Wow.
Juanita from the last one.
Okay.
How to introduce myself, people, what you're going to get, how to share the writing process. Let's talk about the book, how to get in viewers and readers, some marketing. So if anyone is interested in that as a writer, especially those that have not published
Yes.
before, it's an
Yes.
invitation. It will be Juanita and the Outlaw. I sometimes get the three confused because I'll get a name transposed with another one, but it's Juanita and Outlaw. I'm Janine Mick Wills, and you'll start seeing my post whenever I get ready to get that ARC, the advanced reader copy out. And please join my launch team, not just to help me, but also to help yourself.
Right, right. And you said something very good. And I did share this inside the IBG Writers Group because I really, really, really push authors in doing a launch team because the launch team, it gets exposure for your book. But the most important thing it does is it gets reviews. And when the reviews start
Exactly.
coming in for the book, when people go looking for things to read, they look at reviews. And if there are no reviews there, people, chances are they'll skip over your book. So, the launch plays a very key role in getting your book out there in the hands of your readers. So I'm saying this for the IBG Writers Group, join on with the launch team. It doesn't cost you anything,
Right, exactly.
and you get to learn everything. How about that? It
Exactly.
doesn't cost you anything, and you get to learn everything. That
Thumbs
really makes
up. And it's fun. I try to make it fun. You might be able to
yes,
tell I'm a fun person and I love to have fun and to make it fun. And I'm accessible. I'm willing to share what I've learned and also to share the things that you don't want to do. Now, again, different things work for different people. Something might
right.
work for somebody else and it might not for me, but at least I could show you what I have done. I think I had over 60 people in my launch team for the first time. I didn't know what I was
Wow,
doing.
that is
I've
fabulous.
sold I've sold maybe 100 books in a couple of
Okay,
months. Not a lot,
okay,
but I've kind of reached that plateau where everybody I know's bought one, sort of. I still have some
right.
more people to bug, but there's been over 40 reviews from that, and mostly from the launch team. Being consistent and
Right.
sometimes persistent.
Yes.
That's the worst
Yes.
part, I think, for me is having to. I don't want to feel like I'm bugging people, but sometimes you do. But hopefully you have a good enough product that you don't feel bad
Right.
offering that to them. If it was something that I thought, oh, they're going to absolutely hate this, it would be even worse. But have had very good feedback on that book. And like I said, I think each book is going to get progressively better. And just one more quick thing, going back to where I was when you mentioned about how much easier it is once you start a series to get going. I have ideas for at least 4 more books.
Wow.
Because each one of the characters I fall in love with, and I think, oh, you can do this one with that and this one with that. And I don't know what my editor is going to do. We'll see how she feels after the first 3. My contract's with that. We'll see where it goes. But I have ideas at least for 4 more.
Wow, that is phenomenal. So you'll be up to what, about 7 books?
Possibly so, maybe more. Wow. I've had other people tell me, what about that character? What about that character? And I'm like, oh, every time you write it, there's somebody else who could grow up or find somebody else or move to town or in different locations. So one thing that was interesting is a little bit of fear, because there's a lot of research in historical books. Of course, you know that. And when I moved Juanita and the Outlaw to partially Boston and then back to Texas, because my series is Texas Treasures, I had to do a lot of research for Boston. And then my daughter said, well, Mom, when you do the 3rd book, you need to get a different town because people like to read different things. And I'm thinking like, oh no, more research. But anyway, I said, please, let's just keep him in Gooseneck Ridge. I know the town, I know the streets, I know the mercantile and all. But that one is going to be set in Dallas, Texas. So if there's any Dallas fans out there, yeehaw. And it's definitely, it's more of the city. He's a Texas Ranger, so you'll get some of that. But there's a lot of research that went into finding out about Texas and all. And what's interesting, and of course this is fiction, I've only been to Texas 2 or 3 times, and I've only stayed maybe a week or so visiting my sisters. I've never even been out to these areas. So everything you read in these books is made up or researched. So sometimes I get a little concerned because I know people do research trips and they've lived places and all of this. So I haven't had anyone come back and say, well, you did that wrong. But I try very hard to keep up with my research. It's a lot of work. It makes it a different. When you have a steak, you have to go out and kill the animal, and then you have to figure out how to cook it. Here you just like, hey, throw it on the grill or stick it in the microwave. So you don't have to explain how a microwave works. So anyway, but I love historical books. I don't know if I'll go to contemporary or not. We'll just see how it goes. You want to keep your readers happy, but I just love historical, that aspect.
Wow. Let's give some shout outs to some of our viewers. I've seen some people coming on and off. Let's see. Dion, good afternoon. I saw someone comment, Delphine, good afternoon. I don't know if everybody's still on, but just sending shouts out. Jacqueline, Sister Jackie, hello. Pastor Linda, God bless you. There's a Sue Heller Fox. Is that a friend of yours?
Yes, she's my sister-in-law. Hey, Sue, how are you? We're coming up to visit Mom Wills in about 2 weeks. Look for us.
Awesome. Deacon William Brown, bless you. My cousin Brittany, good afternoon. My cousin Rodney, got a few people joining on and off. And then sometimes if someone's watching via your page, they don't come on for me to see. So, if you see anybody on, you're welcome to give them a shout out anytime. We like
well, thank you.
Our viewers.
I feel like I'm on the cooking show. Have you ever seen those cooking shows where they're supposed to cook and then look down there and see that? See, for me, I have to come here and then put my glasses on because I wouldn't be able to see. Barry Wills. Hi, Barry Wills. I think, how do you even cook, period, let alone have to cook and look and talk in the whole 9 yards? So,
Right. So talk a little bit about what has writing the book done for your life. How has it impacted you as an author, a wife, a sister? How has it impacted your personal life?
Well, I will tell you the one thing. Let me take the negative first and get that one out of the way. I am an all or nothing person, and I could almost say that it monopolizes my life more than it should. I don't want to make it an idol. I don't want to make it more, but when I'm doing something, I do it. And that's the thing with marketing is that do. And maybe we can get into marketing again, still along this interview, but I spend way too much time, I think. I don't want to say writing, because sometimes I'm doing more of the marketing and trying to build, which we say, our brand or our platform, than I even write. And that sometimes makes it tough. And what happened with this is because I was working on 3 books at one time rather than just one. I had one that was with her and one I was working, and the next one I was writing and trying to market, that almost all of my time was consumed with that. And that's sort of how I am. So I have to, it's a good thing for me to take to the Lord and have to say, Lord, I don't want to put that above you. and help me to do that, because I still have a husband to take care of. I still have duties at the church. I still have my own self to take care of. But until I'm doing something else, this is sort of my thing. I call it my thing, my thing. As far as writing for me, I'm not a real super confident person. I'd like to say a master, you know, that jack of all trades, master of none, but I'm not a jack of all trades, but I do a lot. I dabble a lot, but writing is the one thing that I keep coming back to. And if I could say I do anything well or sort of well or something, it would be writing. So I have to believe it's a God-given talent that I need to be using. And if people come to my Facebook author page, it's Janine Mick Wills, Writing for the Glory of God. I want my whole life to glorify him, but I want my writing to. I don't ever want to be far enough away from that I can't give the praise back to him, because all good things come from him, and the writing is from him. So I think writing has been an area where I've been able to say, hey, I finally found out what I want to do when I grow up, but I'm 61 years old. So again, don't give up. I wanted to mention that too to your viewers. Don't give up. It doesn't matter whether you're writing or something else, because you know what? The day you give up, it could be that afternoon, the next day when the breakthrough comes, when you get that call or that email or that time when you break down those walls. And with writing, I have found out, we can talk about writer's block and all of that. When I start thinking about writing that third book, because it was just in my mind at that time, I said, I have not written for 10, 20 years a book. So there was fear. There was real fear. And I kept putting it off and trying to market the other ones and think about the other ones. I said, Janine, you've signed a contract now. You are obligated. Sit down and write. And when you sit down and do it, it happens. So that would be my one thing I would like. Hi, Leslie. She's a fellow writer. She has a great blog. She also went to a church we went to a long time ago. She was actually one of my Sunday school girls. Now she's a grown-up woman.
Wow. How doesn't that Doesn't that feel wonderful? Because when I have my Sunday school students and I see them all grown up, it's just a warm and fuzzy feeling to see them doing great, isn't it?
And she's going to the same church she's been at. Her children are grown up, and oh, I feel old. But she's Leslie, and I love her mother. Mother was my hairdresser, and just have a long history with her. So, any rate, but just don't give up on that dream. Just keep at it. Keep going, because you never can tell when it might happen. And the same way too with, again, I keep heading back to marketing. I don't know why I'm doing this. I think because it's my angst, I guess. But marketing is one of those things where you keep at it, but you never know what's gonna click, what's gonna hit. I'm finding out for myself, this online marketing and I are not happy partners because I'm not real good at it. Maybe I need to learn more. I think initially I said, okay, I get my name on Twitter and I get it on Facebook and I get it on Pinterest and I get linked. Too much, as my mother would say. You need to find something that you're good or comfortable at, one or two things, and hit those and get good at them. You can't do them all. You shouldn't do them all. You'll be like me. You'll be up until 1:30 in the morning trying to get everybody to notice you. And that is the thing right there. And even with my editor, who's also an author, where's that magic bullet where you get recognized? And that's why we do these podcasts and interviews, and you try to get out there. But with self-publishing and so many books out there, I don't know if you know this, when I look at some of my sales reports on Amazon, there's like 8 million hardback books on Amazon. 8 million.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
So how are you going to get noticed? Who's going to type in Cassandra and the Cowboy? So you have to get out there, get people to notice you. But for me, going back to the marketing, I am stronger at one-on-one and talking to people, and I love speaking to women and love telling them about the Lord. So I'm hoping once my 3 books are out, where I can have that part behind me and then be able to offer the 3, that maybe I'll get speaking engagements, because that's where I believe I'm the strongest. So, and when I think of that, there's more peace in my soul. And of course, the blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich and he addeth no sorrow to it. Online marketing makes me crazy. Not that I have to say, no, I'm not going to do it. But I do believe that my area of expertise is going to be more one-on-one and there. So so the point of all this, running around the bush 20 times before I get to my point, I have a tendency to do that.
That's okay.
Is the fact that find what works for you and what you're good at, and stick with that and keep that. Don't be scared to make mistakes. I have to tell you, this is Facebook. They'll probably hunt me down, but I made mistakes on Facebook trying to market. You know, you copy and paste your thing onto everybody you know, And sometimes
Right.
people don't want you there, and then you get
Right.
blackballed. And I didn't even know such things happen. And here I am claiming to be a Christian author who loves the Lord. And I was like in turmoil because, honey, I said, I'm trying to represent the Lord, and they've blocked me. And I'm in Facebook jail and all this crazy stuff. So you will make mistakes.
Right.
Just keep picking yourself up and keep going.
Yes.
The Bible talks
Yes.
about falling down and just keep getting back up. Keep getting back
Right.
up and keep at it.
Right. Wow. You're saying some really good stuff. I hope that, someone is really, and people are commenting saying, yes, I received this, keep going. Everybody is like really, taking this in, because we do throw in the towel too early, especially when cases like what you said, when people are blocking you, they don't want to hear what you say, or they're reporting you to Facebook.
Right.
Those kinds of things are blows to the self-esteem. And it
Sure.
does make you feel like, am I doing something wrong? Do I have something that people want to hear? So, those can be challenges that you may face. But like she's saying, in the process, it sounds like God built up your confidence.
Right.
Even though those things were happening and you initially felt like, I don't have a message that's valid, or whatever emotions that were going on, you're still writing. You're still developing your series. You're still thinking about 3 more books or 4 more books.
Right. Right.
Where when you started, it was just like, okay, I'm just going to get this one done. Then it developed into 3, and now 4 more are coming. So these things are all just a part of the process, and you saying and admitting your age, someone who's listening has to know that no matter what age you are, you cannot stop. You cannot give up on your dream. You cannot say, what I have is invalid, because your audience is out there.
Exactly.
And you said it yourself, I'm better with one-on-one. And it takes trying something to find out I'm not as good at this as I am at that. And so sometimes you have to stick to that which you are good at, if it's one-on-one,
Hi,
if
Dan.
it is online. Oh,
say hi, Dan. Hi, Bert. Wow, it's amazing to see folks that saw me. Some of them haven't seen me in years. I have a few more wrinkles, but maybe I should hold the phone back a little farther.
Embrace embrace it. It's all it's good. But it's good. So it's good to see people are coming on, and you, like you said, you just got to keep doing it. Even if you mess it up or jack it up or whatever, pick it back up. And it is hard, especially when we had to, get to a place of believing in ourselves. It can be challenging because people look at me and they say, oh, you've done that many. I still deal with being nervous sometimes. I still deal with feeling inadequate at times, especially when you try something new or different. So I think that, we got to continue pressing. What are some wishes that you have for the series, Cassandra and Juanita and Maddie? What are the wishes that you have when your readers pick up your book? What is the thing that you want them to have a takeaway?
First of all, the spiritual implication. That's why I write inspirationals. Now, just the fact that I write inspirationals, that definitely narrows down your margin of readers, because obviously it's not mainstream. But I would like for them to be entertained, for them to come away with, hey, I had problems with prayer, or I had problems with my faith, or the character of Maddie. I'd say, I'd hate to admit this, but I'm an open book, and people that know me will see, oh, Janine, and Matt should be Janine and the Texas Ranger, not Maddie and the Texas Ranger, because Maddie is one of those who is always doing things. She's always busy, busy, busy. One of her things that she says is that, well, if I do it, instead of letting God help me, then God could help somebody else. And my thing is that, okay, God, unless you stop me, I'm going to rush right through that door. If you don't want me going through it, stop me, rather than let's pray about it before we go. I have a tendency to rush ahead of the Lord and to go out on my own. And I think other people have that. So maybe when they see that, they can see how she progresses through it, how people that love her come back and say, you don't need to go alone. And you do need to trust the Lord. And if you allow the Lord to do these things, he'll do a lot better job of it. So hopefully each one of my characters starts at A, and as they progress through Z, you'll see a character arc and also a spiritual arc that they've gone through. And again, I love it. They have happy endings. I know that that people say, oh, well, you shouldn't tell what happens, but it's an inspirational, folks. Usually they do end that way. But I will tell you this, Cassandra and the Cowboy, several people have come to me and told me I didn't expect those twists at the end. And as you progress through the story,
Yep.
of course, you get to the end of the chapter. It's like, oh, what's going to happen next? Oh, what's going to
Right.
happen next?
Right.
And it's like, oh, I can't believe she did that. And it's amazing too. And if I could mention this with characters, and I'm sure that you have done this as a writer and other writers have, but if you're not a writer, you may not understand this. And the first time I heard it, I looked at someone and thought, you're crazy as a loon. But have you ever had your characters start out and you're taking them someplace and they say, we're not going there, we're going over here? I know in my second book, I have Juanita. She's a sweet, sweet little gal, compliant, doesn't say boo. And in my mind's eye, she was supposed to be back at the ranch waiting for Pete to show up. And next
Wow.
thing in my mind, as I'm writing this, I see her with her long black hair flowing out behind her on this pinto pony, racing across the desert or the Texas plain to Pete. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be way back over there. So you find out, and people that don't write don't understand that. They're saying you're creating your characters. But sometimes for writer's block, if you do have that problem, you sit back and you say, okay, let the person go ahead and do this scene. Don't write it. What if they're there standing? Okay, imagine them talking to that person. Where would they go? What would they say? And a lot of times you'll find out that that's not what happened. Also, in the third book, Stephen comes back into Maddie's life after all these years, and we're all like, oh, they're back together again. And he looks at her and says, da 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 da. I don't want to say what it is, and then says, I've got to think and pray about this, and turns off and leaves her. And I'm like, no, wait a minute, what happened to the whole story? But it added to the story because now you've got more conflict as far as how they can get back together. So as you write, listen to your characters. Don't always have it set in your mind, this is where I'm going to go. Allow them to develop and see what happens.
Right, that's good. And what I hear from you, and this is something that Christian writers shouldn't be afraid of, is to let your imagination flow. It sounds like you're just allowing your imagination to let it unfold, if it's okay to say that. And so we can get afraid to allow our imagination, because some people, they put themselves in boxes, and so you should be able to be free to just let your imagination flow.
Exactly.
Let it carry itself, instead of, like you said, because sometimes we put God in a box, and we can relate it to that.
Right.
Because sometimes we say, God, do it this way, and he's like, wait, like you said, your mind is way, you see something else coming, and that's how God desires to come into our being and to let things just flow, instead of just saying, God, do it this way. So we can relate it to that as well. So this is really good. So let's talk about what kind of words of encouragement. You've said don't give up. You said, keep going. Is there any other specific words of encouragement that you have?
Yes, I do. I've got them written down. I'm going to put my glasses on. And hello, Jennifer Armstrong. That's my daughter. I love her. And she's one of my inspirations. And that girl, when she gets those 5 kids raised up or reared up, she needs to write. She's the writer in my family, that girl right there. So hi, honey, I love you. Hi, grandkids. I hope the kids are watching. But let me tell you some words of encouragement that I've written down, if I could, please.
Absolutely.
First of all, is write. That sounds kind of silly, but like I said before, you get so busy doing other things, you don't get to write. Yesterday, I spent the entire day pretending I was advancing my book, and I got through one scene in my book that I'm supposed to be on. Shame on me. You do need to write, but you also need to, like any type of a skill or talent, you need to perfect that or improve upon that. You need to be, I don't want to say necessarily online courses unless that works out for you, but books, listening to podcasts, finding ways to improve, because I don't know if you're like me, but boy, I love my words. I hate to delete anything. And boy, when they come back and people said, hey, this is wrong, or my editor sends back and there's all these red marks, I'm like, oh. In fact, my third book, my books are about 90,000 words a piece. And my third book, through the first and second draft, is already 95,000 words. I've got to cut 5,000 words. Like, how am I ever going to do that? But every time you learn something, you make things more concise, your writing gets better. So you've got to learn to develop a thick skin, which is something, I'm a very thin skinned person. So that's always difficult, which is why marketing is kind of tough, because you put yourself out there, you put your work out there, and like, is everyone going to love me? So that's something you have to consider. But do write and improve upon your writing. If you find something that you're doing that's not something that is progressing your writing in the direction you like to go, be willing to accept it. I worked with someone just recently, and she asked me to look at her work, and I read it and told her, first off, this is my opinion. You've got to write for yourself. Never heard back from her again. So whether it was a help or not, but then again, I do remember when I started out, the same thing. What do you mean you don't like my work? It's wonderful. So writers, we've got a lot of stuff running around in our head. That's why we can write. So that's my first thing. Improve your craft and write. Build your platform or your brand. And that's difficult because I feel like I'm always like, me. Janine Mick Wills, Cassandra and the Cowboy. Buy this book. It's on Amazon. But the thing of it is, if you're a first-time author, you don't have a book yet. How do you build a platform? Start somehow, some way, even if it's to your immediate family. Hey, I'm a writer. I want to. Don't be afraid to call yourself a writer. Call yourself an author. If you're writing a book, you're an author. You may not be published yet, but you are an author. Get that your tribe, as we say, around you, and start building from there. Sometimes it can take several years. I see these people that sign me up on, how you got your opt-in, pop-in forms and all, and then I'll give you 10,000, new subscribers and all this. Well, a lot of times they want money, and I'm all for the fact that you can get money, but be careful about that. Okay, there's a lot of info out there that you don't have to pay for, but that's just, if you've got it, fine, go for it. But start that platform as soon as you can, because you do want to be able to start building that. So when your book is released, hi, Terry Powers. When it is released, you'll be able to have people that will buy your book. If you only have 20 friends on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, well, you're limiting yourself on what you could do. Start your platform. Start letting people know what you're doing. Plus, it holds you accountable. So you might not quit. All right. Let's see. We can start with marketing. Okay. I've kind of dabbled in a little bit of that as far as this interview goes, but marketing is tough. Find your niche. I think for me, that has been the important thing, is don't get so spread out that you end up doing nothing. I think it'd be better to have, let's just say, 1,000 followers with Facebook than to have 20 on, 50 different platforms. Find out what you're comfortable with. It doesn't mean that you can't spread yourself out. You can't learn new things. You might find something you're even better at, but be careful about spreading yourself out too thin, and keep people interested in what you're doing. We've heard that it's either 80-20 or 75-25%. Keep the larger percentage of your interaction with your family, friends, people that are interested in you, to just stuff. Don't always be buy my book. I try, of course, when I'm in the process of actually getting it launched, that's a little bit more so, but I try to maybe once a week actually put a link on there that says buy my book. But I talk about it, I mention it, I'll put a clip out there, but I also do things as far as I've got something called today's National Bow Tie Day. I don't know if you know that. And also, and I put questions on there. You know which question in the last week or so has got the most response on my Facebook page? Do you put the toilet paper under or over? And I want you to know, most people put it over. Now, if I write something that says, if you could change something about the country, what would you do? 0, no responses. But boy, the toilet paper thing. See, this is where you start. This is where you start finding out how to engage your readers, because not only it keeps them interested in you, but it also gets your feed and the more responses in Facebook. You know how funny Facebook is about sending, like if almost every time I put a link on there that sends them to my page, hardly anybody sees it. But if I write something else there, because Facebook does not want you clicking on something and going off of Facebook. I don't know if your readers know that or not, or your viewers. They're not very happy with that. So just remember, work on that brand. It's really important. The marketing, maybe next time if you interview me again, we could talk more about something that succeeded. Right now, I haven't figured out exactly what has worked out. Most of the people that have read my book are people that know me or know someone that know me. I've not got people. It's funny because people say, "Oh, you're rich and famous." I'm like, "Yeah, I've sold maybe 100 books." Yeah, okay. But that's 100 more people than had my book 3 months ago. But I see that on Facebook. Have you seen that one little ad that's on there? Most authors in their lifetime only sell 200 to 300 books. I'm thinking like, Okay, I've got 3 books, 100 a piece is 300. I might fit that bill, but I'm not going to give you $200 to figure out how. I'm just going to keep plugging along and learning and trusting the Lord. Again, this comes back to the fact of putting it out there, doing what I can, and saying, Lord, if you want this to succeed, there you go. My husband says, honey, you're going to die, and there's going to be your 3 books on the bookshelf, and the kids are going to come by and stick them in a yard sale. And I said, that's okay. I got my 3 books. So at any rate, but just don't give up. That's all I say. Don't get up. Love what you're doing. If you don't love it, don't do it. There's other things you could be doing that you could, but if you do it as best as you can for the glory of God. Learn as much as you can and have fun. Sometimes I don't have fun. Sometimes it's work, but have fun. When it stops being enjoyable and it gives you a little thrill in your soul, well, maybe it's time to, I don't know, knit or crochet or something else where they're doing something that you enjoy more so than that, because writing is definitely, it's a solitary endeavor. You're mostly doing it by yourself. And a lot of folks are not able to take the criticism and being thin-skinned. So it's not easy. And there's millions of us out there. So unless the Lord calls you to do it and you really have a love for it, you need to maybe think about maybe something else that you enjoy doing more. But if you do, and it's in your bones, and for me, I can't get away from it. I really can't. And that's one thing too, is this happened to you when you read now as a writer, you read, when you read as a writer rather than a reader. That's the one thing maybe writing, we talked about that has dimmed my enjoyment of reading, is that a lot of times, they could have said that better. Oh, they said the horse was gray once and the next time it was brown.
Because I thought I was the only one who did that.
No, and you know what? And I read my books. I may. Hi, Nathan. Nathan's watching, my grandson. Nathan, hi, Nathan. He's in my book too. He's Nate, and he's adorable. He's in the 3rd book. But when I read, I'll underline things. Oh, look, there's another way to say it. Look. He gazed and his eyes drifted. And, let's underline it. Maybe we can incorporate that somehow. So it's almost like when I read, it's a research project. But I do sometimes read for enjoyment. But most of the time now, it's part of my occupation.
Wow. This is a lot of good stuff. You said coming back on, and I do want to get you back on for the marketing piece. I kind of got away from it, but I was doing a weekly marketing inside of the IBG Writers Group, but I think we need to get back to that, because people don't understand that putting a product means nothing if you don't know how to get it in the hands of your readers or whatever the product is for.
Right.
So marketing is it's not a small piece. It is a huge piece of getting your book out. And then also, you didn't get completely into it, but another way to get your book in the hands of people is to what I call think outside the book. And so you develop the book, but what is it outside of the book that can create the streams of income to continue to feed the book? Depending on the type of book that you've done. I do a lot of books that are self-help or healing or educational books. And so I create courses to go with the book, but you talked about the speaking engagements for yourself.
Right.
That's a great way to think outside the book, because when you have a book, it creates an avenue for you to go somewhere and speak. So we definitely want to get you back on and do some things inside the group.
Great.
We'll talk offline about your schedule, but the launch team is the biggest piece. I know I need to learn, because I got some books coming up. So there are things that I know I need to learn and glean from you as well when it comes to the launch team. You told me you had 60 people. I'm like, where'd you get these 60 people from?
Well, and I will tell you this, something I learned about my launch team, and hi Lisa and hi Sid, and somebody else came on there and I missed you, but hello to folks that are coming on that I do know. I appreciate that. But I thought when I had this launch team, first of all, I thought, boy, all my friends are going to join it. Hey, I'm Janine Mick Wills, or Janine Wills as they probably knew me. Everyone's going to love my book. Everyone's going to love me. Not so, but that's okay. We're busy. I do try to make it so my launch team doesn't take up a lot of time, because I do try to respect folks' time. That it is very short for a lot of them, and Facebook's the medium where you just pop in, pop out, that type of thing. But what did surprise me about my launch team is the 60 or so that were involved in it, maybe only half of them participated. And I have read this and I thought, oh no, not for me, not for my people. They're all going to love to participate and talk about my book, and they're all going to share it with everyone. Not so. So if you're thinking in your mind, if you do have maybe a set number, obviously the more the merrier. If you have 500, actually 500 people, it might be a little bit harder to manage and have that personal time if you're at that point. But not all of them are going to participate. Not all of them are going to write reviews. And as far as that, with writing reviews, that's really what we are shooting for with those advanced reader copies is, hey, you get to read my book for free. You're kind of scratching my back, I scratch yours type of thing, because that's part of the process. That you're out there telling folks about my book, even if you didn't particularly love it. I've had some comments that were negative, but it's like, well, I didn't understand that Spanish word, or it was sort of predictable up to, different things. And that's okay, because it's publicity and it does help. And the reviews are important, like you say, so people will know that it's out there. And plus, it's nice to know that people read the book after 20 years. It's nice to know folks are there. Hi, Megan. Boy, Megan, I haven't seen you forever. I hope you're doing well. So at any rate, but at the launch team, again, Juanita and the Outlaw, it says I've got 10% on my battery. I hope I don't lose out on you. But Juanita and the Outlaw will be my next book out. And actually, the Facebook page is already created. Folks will have to come to it. It's called the Juanita and the Outlaw Launch Team. And I'd have to ask you, it's not started yet because the book's not ready to be, the ARC is not ready. But also Janine Mick Wills, hunt me down on Facebook, or Janine Mick Wills, Writing for the Glory of God. And I update, okay, we're getting ready, or I have a countdown. See, even before you start your launch team, you have countdowns, okay? My launch team, you have 10 more days to join it, 9 more days. You create some enthusiasm for it, and have fun. Again, have fun. I love my launch team. After 20 years, I finally got to talk to somebody about my book besides my daughter. My husband just rolls his eyes, at any rate. But I mean, like, people are like, oh, I liked it when this happened. I'm like, you're kidding. For weeks after that book was out, I just felt like an imposter. I was just like, I can't believe people really are reading my book, and I'm getting, are you sure you're not saying that just because you know me and you don't want to say anything negative or whatever? It's pretty amazing. I definitely will say I'm not getting inflated by it, because I still am thinking like, oh, I wonder if they'll like the second one. I wonder if they'll like the third one. I don't know if you're like that, but it's exciting to actually know that people are reading something I wrote and they are enjoying it.
Yes. This is really good stuff. We could go on forever. We don't want your phone to wear out on us. So we're going to go ahead, and we're getting right up on an hour. So we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up. So tell everyone where they can purchase your book.
All right. Obviously, the big one's Amazon.com. Just type in Cassandra and the Cowboy. Might be easier than Janine Mick Wills, because my name is spelled a little bit different, my first name. Cassandra and the Cowboy. You can get it in ebook form for $4.99 or paperback form for $14.99. Shipping and handling if you don't have Amazon Prime or you don't go over $25. But if you get it, then you can go ahead and please, if you read it, and even if you don't like it or enjoy it just a little bit, love it, please put a review on it. I promise reviews don't take long, and they're a big help. You could also find it, I believe, on Goodreads. I'm not quite sure some of the other avenues, because mostly I'm just, again, targeting Amazon, because that's the biggie. You could ask for it at your bookstore. If you go in, your bookstore could order it. It won't be on the shelves, but you can ask them to order it for you. And eventually here, I'm going to order some of my own. And if you would like for me to speak at your church or your ladies group, give me a holler on Facebook, and we'll set something up, and I'd be glad to come talk to you. And hopefully by the end of this year, maybe we'll have all 3 out. We'll see. But at least the next one, the second one, should be out this fall sometime.
Awesome. We certainly appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us for the Working Wednesdays broadcast. It has been a true treat to have you on this afternoon. I appreciate it. Just giving some more shout outs to a few people who joined on.
Elizabeth, Beth Pitts. Hi, Beth, old time friend of mine.
Go ahead. Anybody else you see out there?
Well, they've been going through me fast. So I think I've gotten some of them that are there, but anyone who knows me and came on, thank you so very much. I appreciate that tremendously. Thank you for your support. My daughter did. One day you'll probably have her on there. I promise you. She's a good one. She's a talented musician too. So she's my writing buddy. I wish she had more time, you know, obviously she has the children now, but we're going to collaborate one day when the kids are all raised and grown. I'll probably be gumming my food by then, but but I'm going to hang in there until one day we could write a book together, because she's a very talented young woman.
Wow, sounds good. And Tan, good afternoon. Prophetess Yolanda, God bless you for listening in. Rochelle, she's an aspiring writer. She's working on her book as well. So those that came
Go
on
for
the
it.
tail end of the interview, please go back and listen to it all the way through, because Janine gave us a lot of good nuggets as a takeaway, especially for first-time authors and people who have been sitting on your dream for a long time. She gave us some very great nuggets to take away. And we will have her back in the IBG Writers Group so we can talk more about that launch team, because a lot of people, they miss the exposure. And I know we could probably harp on this all day long, but a lot of people, you miss the exposure, you know, of getting your book into the hands of your readers by not doing the launch team.
Right.
So
I think too, you worry the fact that you're giving it away free, but every time you give it away free, it opens up another possibly hundreds of people. You have to remember that. And plus also to the launch team, they sometimes catches mistakes that won't end up in the final product. It's a great, I highly recommend a launch team, and I'll be glad to have folks join mine and be part of it and help you out as much as I can as a newbie myself.
Yes. But you know what? A biblical principle dropped in my spirit when you said that about sowing and reaping. And so you have to, when you give the book away, it's a form of sowing, because there's a harvest or something you plan to come from giving the book away. So it's a biblical principle. Those who sow sparingly will reap sparingly. And those who sow bountifully will reap bountifully. So you got to give it away. And it's a mentality. You know, a lot of people don't realize that even in doing a launch team, it's a mentality that comes with giving it away. But, you know, I'm coming back for the return.
Exactly.
Review, spread the word, you know, all that kind of good stuff. So it's been great having you on this.
You too, Audrey. I feel like I've met a new friend. This is great. You just have to just call me up sometime and we can FaceTime.
Yes, I do.
Thank you for having me.
I feel like I just feel a great connection, you know, between you and
I do too.
And we think alike, we see it alike, and it's like, oh, I thought that was just me. Okay, I'm not alone.
No. That's kind of scary, someone else thinking like me, but we're writers. We'll just leave it at that. Oh, thank you so much, Audrey. Thank you for your viewers, and I hope we've shared some things that'll help you. And I'm on Facebook, Janine Mick Wills. Look me up. I'll be your writing buddy, your mentor, and hopefully I'll learn a lot from you too, because I don't have the market cornered at all. I'm starting out, but I'm willing to share and to commiserate and empathize and sympathize and go Yahoo, praise God for the glory of Him for what we're doing.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll be in touch. What city are you out of? I've been wanting to ask you, because
I'm in Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is just below Charlotte.
Wow.
In the sunny South.
Wow, that's tremendous. How far is it from Charleston?
I'd say maybe 3.5 hours, I think.
Okay.
So we go down there once in a while. It's a couple, 2, 3, I don't know, maybe 3.5, 4-hour drive. But it's beautiful down there. We're not too far from the beaches. So.
Cool, awesome. Well, it's been a blessing having you on. God bless those who have joined us this afternoon. I'm not on consistently every Wednesday, but from time to time, I'll be coming on at noon, bringing authors on. Next month, we got a few authors who will be coming on at noon with me. And like I said, I'm revamping the show because I'm looking to start expanding my platform as far as doing a podcast. It's been suggested to me several times. Yeah, and so it's one of those things, like I got so comfortable in this little box, and then God is saying, spread yourself. So, you know, things come with that territory, but I'm still working on it. This is actually like really motivating me because I haven't been on for a few weeks. But this is like, okay, don't stop. Like you've been saying, don't stop.
Don't give
stay
up.
focused, stay consistent. So this has been a motivation for me as well.
Great. And God said, do it, girls. So you better do it.
Yes, yes. And I am going to do it. And
wonderful.
Thank you so much for coming on this afternoon.
Thank you,
I'll be in touch with everybody. God bless y'all. Thank you for staying on with us the
Thank
whole
you.
hour. Some people do stay on the whole time, so thank you. Do you have any final words for our viewers before we sign off?
No, I don't, accept the fact again. Thank you for being part of this whole process. For me, I had fun. And my other question is, you'll love this one. I'm not even sure how we're going to disconnect. We had such a problem getting started. I'm like, okay, I don't see, is there like an end button down here on my phone? So
When I hit finish, it'll just go off once I hit.
okay.
So
If I don't lose it first, my phone's starting to power down. So if you lose me first, you know what happened. But you've been a treat, Audra. Thank you for this opportunity. And I hope this is the start of a good friendship.
All right. It is. I believe that it is. And thank you for joining us this week. God bless you all. Have yourself a wonderful working Wednesday.
Yes.
God bless y'all. Have a good day.